and welcome. My name's Kathy A, and this is probably the last video I'm going to film in this location. As you can see behind me, with the furniture all askew here. I'm in process of moving. So anyway, I've been very busy, but I did try to get this filmed and up and ready, because I know that you kind of look forward to the docutorials, you know, the histories of the brands and all. So today I am doing a special all about Urban Decay, and this is a brand that has been controversial in some ways, and in other ways a lot of people find it's their favorite brand. This is a classic eyeshadow palette that almost everybody has who is in the YouTube community anyway, and many of you who watch. This is the original Naked palette, and this is considered by some to be like the most perfect palette ever released, and I think in many ways it is, and I think it is something that everybody should have in their collection because of the matte shades for the crease and some of the shimmer shades that you can use. You can change up the look a lot, and it can actually fix problems from other palettes or other eyeshadows that you've used. You can actually go in here and take you know, like this lighter color here, which is called Naked, by the way, and you can actually kind of fix any problems that you have with these colors. My only complaint about this particular palette is that there is no light matte shades so that you can go all over your eyes with it, but they do have these two very shimmery light shades that look great on the lids and can really make your eyes pop. Virgin and Sin, ironically right next to each other in the palette. Let me just add a little bit here. So these are the eyes, the lips, the cheeks, everything. So what I'm going to do first is tell you the history of Urban Decay, and then when we come back I'm going to do a full face tutorial to show you how I went from this to this. So without further ado, let's go back and look at the history of Urban Decay.
The history of Urban Decay begins with this lady, Sandy Len. She was born in 1955, and she grew up during the swingin' 60s and the groovy 70s. She was a teenager, but she was kind of a nerd, and she was extremely intelligent. She got her master's in economics and econometrics in 1977, and later another master's in statistics and computer science in 1981. Computers were still in development in 1981, and the home computer was not invented yet. She was far ahead of her time in her career. In 1984, while she was director of computer facilities for the Stanford University Graduate School of Business, she met a guy named Len Bosak, whom they fell madly in love. They worked in different departments at the university, and it was frustrating because they wanted to send little notes back and forth and try to get their computers to talk to each other. So they invented, through using different parts and computer systems and systems that were already in place at the school, they developed a router system where one computer could talk to another. And this was really groundbreaking in the computer industry and helped launch what we now know as Cisco. Now, since they got their computers to talk, this was really quite an incredible achievement, and they broached the idea to the university to patent it for them so that they could sell this system to other colleges. The university said no. So they pooled their resources and they created their own company and made the parts in their bedroom and their living room, and they called it Cisco. Cisco is the small part of the word San Francisco, and the little logo are actually the Golden Gate Bridge towers. Now, the Cisco system was the earliest known routing system for computers, and it enabled people to speak to each other through different computers and networks all over the place. This was expensive for them, and they maxed out all their credit cards buying parts. So they sought out investors, and they found a firm. Finally, after 70 or 80 tries, they found someone who would invest in them. The investors hired John Mortgage to actually be the CEO of the company, and they did not give them employment contracts. They only had stock in the company, and they actually wound up firing her, and he left in protest of them firing her. It was really quite messy. The investors may have felt smug about this move, but they actually wound up getting their comeuppance. Stanford University sued them because they discovered that the basis for the Cisco components all came from their own computer labs, and that Sandy and Len had built these things based on basic principles that were already developed by other staff and students at the school. The judge ruled in favor of Stanford University, and to this day Cisco has to pay Stanford royalties and fee payments for leasing their product. There is a video out there called Nerds 2.0.1, Networking the Nerds, in which they tell the story of Sandy and Len in their own words. Now, Len afterwards took his millions and invested in electronics and equipment to monitor UFOs and extraterrestrials. Sandy formed a company called And Partners, and this group actually invested in different types of businesses, and one of her first projects was an English mansion that used to belong to Jane Austen's brother, and Jane Austen had spent much time there writing. Well, Sandra turned this into a English women's literature study group and library. While she was there, her investments manager David introduced her to an interesting woman named Wendy Zomner. Now, Wendy and she hit it off really well, and they started to mess around with nail polish one day, and they were mixing a raspberry color with a black. They came up with this beautiful kind of dark purpley color. They said, "Looks like Urban Decay to me." Wendy wanted a really edgy look because she was tired of the beiges and pinks. Colors like roach, acid rain, rust, smog, and oil slick were created into eyeshadows, nail polishes, and lipsticks. Urban Decay was a catchy phrase, and they decided to name a new makeup company this. The products started out pretty rudimentary, and the posters they did for promotion were very, very edgy and rough. Does Pink Make You Puke? Spoke to a whole new group of people. No longer were we competing with the Barbie types and the sophisticates. Urban Decay was born. Launched in 1996. They actually launched officially in 1999, created some eye palettes and nail polishes like Gash, which is one of their more famous earlier ones. That's Dude. And here's some more palettes that they created. Now, Sandra always felt that she never looked like a Barbie doll, and she was just so into this whole thing. She wanted makeup that would make her look more like her, and so she totally financed Urban Decay. And this is where we leave off from her and take up with Wendy Zomner. Now, Be a Person, Not a Doll was basically because of Sandy. Urban Decay came up with really edgy products and really cool packaging. It was an instant success. Absolutely, totally for the artsy crowd, for the goths, for the punks, and the women who just didn't fit into that Christy Brinkley sort of role. A new product was introduced called the Eyeshadow Primer Potion, and this became groundbreaking. It made the shadow colors pop, and it made them last all day long. So their eyeshadows became infamous and well sought after. They were purchased in 2000 by Moet & Chandon Luxury Collection, and that actually gave them more finances to expand. They always maintained their cruelty-free and vegan stand, and none of their products were ever tested on animals, and still are not to this day. They expanded their line, and their packaging went from this to this. They really cleaned up their act, and with the help of things like Chanel introducing her Vamp line, the trend to be a little grungy became all the rage. Urban Decay found a whole new audience. Even the nice girls and the sophisticates were now looking at Urban Decay as their makeup line of choice. Urban Decay became famous for their 24/7 eyeliner pencils, which were iconic in their staying power and their color payout. They also had wonderful palettes with different types of colors based on themes. And there were novelty items like the Pocket Rocket, of which I wish I had some of these. A lot of the earlier items released are collectible, and many people are paying lots of money on Amazon and eBay for these. Now, the introduction of the Naked palette in 2010 was groundbreaking for the eyeshadow industry. No palette has been compared to as much as this one. It rivals MAC in its quality and popularity, and I think almost every YouTuber compares something to a Naked palette in some form or another when they're talking about eyeshadows. In 2012 and 2013, Naked 2 and Naked 3 palettes were released, as well as 2 Naked Basic palettes. So the Naked series was very popular, including the powders and foundations, which had a nice broad range that went from very light to very dark. And they introduced the setting sprays, which set your makeup just like your hairspray would set your hair. The products became iconic and well sought after by everyone. And after 15 years, Urban Decay is still an extremely popular line. But then, they were purchased by L'Oreal. This is a bad thing, especially for those of us who like to be cruelty-free. L'Oreal is at PETA's list of one of the worst brands ever as far as animal testing goes. But Wendy and Sandra are both animal rights activists, and they absolutely refused to do any animal testing. They remain on PETA and Leaping Bunny's list of companies who are cruelty-free, regardless of who owns them. However, I must add that when you purchase Urban Decay, they do have to pay royalties to L'Oreal. A lot of their cosmetics were award-winning, and different types of primer potions were released for different skin issues. Also, we had different new palettes like the Smoked Palette and the controversial Electric Palette, which everybody was daring each other to use for a week for a while there. These shadows are groundbreaking in many ways and push the envelope of makeup. They also released several kits, all-purpose kits, and Wendy remains the creative director of Urban Decay. Now, Urban Decay Cosmetics is released in many department stores, and they are also featured in Ulta beauty stores and Sephora beauty stores around the world. They still have that edginess about them, but they are still very age-friendly, and people, even conservatives, can wear the products. Wendy also has a sense of humor, and they had a lot of themed makeup. They've also worked with like Todd Oldham, and they had a Pulp Fiction series that came out, and they have Gwen Stefani as one of their spokespeople. And they continue to release really innovative and beautiful products like the Revolution line of lipsticks and lip glosses, and the beautiful Afterglow blushes, and the now infamous Smoky Palette. They won an award in 2014 as Achievement in Makeup, and they have a wonderful website with interactive videos. And you should stop by sometime and see their incredible lobby. So what happened with Sandra Lerner? Well, she runs a farm in Virginia, and she has Sustainable Farm. She teaches students and helps with the community, and they do cruelty-free livestock. And she also wrote a book called Second Impressions under the pen name Ava Farmer, which means a Virginia farmer. And she has been featured in many different films and has won awards for her wonderful charities for women. And Wendy, who met her husband at a bar once, when she took her dog to the bar, some guy was feeding her dog some pizza, and she went over to speak to him. She fell in love with him, and they have a very, very active lifestyle in California. They do a lot of snowboarding and mountain hiking and heliboarding and yoga together. They have a couple of kids together, and they live in California, and she keeps a very, very busy schedule at Urban Decay. She is still the creative director, and recently came out with her own contraband palette, which looks very similar to the colors that Urban Decay started with many, many years ago. This innovative brand is something that I hope stays around with us for a long time, and I thank Urban Decay for their edginess and their bravery.
Now that we've all been enlightened with the history of Urban Decay, I want to continue on and do a full face tutorial. So through the magic of video, woo, back in time, let's go. Be back soon.
Okay, here's our before picture here. La la la. Starting off with the anti-aging eyelid primer potion. This is a slight tint to it, so it will give your eyelids a little bit of coverage if you have any gnarly old veins or anything. I'm going above and below just lightly, and this will help the eye makeup stay on for quite a while. This is the Pore Perfecting Complexion Primer, and those big old pore orange peel skin pores will get covered with this. Just kind of dabbing it in, tapping it in around the really bad areas. Uncomfortably long time doing this. Okay, I should have probably zoomed this up to 4x, huh? Okay, I think we got it. Okay, this is the Naked Skin Weightless Complete Coverage Concealer in Light Warm. Sunshine day, everybody's smiling. Looks a little like war paint, huh? Little Raggedy Ann thing going on under there. Now I let it set just a little bit long. I normally would use a Beauty Blender sponge to punch it in a little bit rather than using this synthetic brush. I'm actually using an Urban Decay synthetic brush to work in the concealer all over my little boo-boos and age spots and dark spots and things like that. This is one of my favorite concealers, and I think it works really well. It's very age friendly, it lasts, and it does not crease under your eyes if you set it right away. Now coming up, this is the Naked Skin BB Cream. Just putting it on one half of my face so you can see. Slightly dark color for me, but it was summer and I thought I would actually tan a bit. And I'm using a blending brush. And you can see it's kind of a shade dark for me. Very obvious there. And I'm just doing circular motions. It looks like I'm really scrubbing it in, but I'm not. I'm just going lightly over to blend it in. Now this is the Ultra Definition Powder Foundation in Light Warm. And I'm using the little device that comes with it to kind of, in circular motions, just kind of add it in. And as you would expect, it does look a little bit on the cakey side on my old wrinkly skin. But at least it's dark enough that it sort of blends in with the other side. Okay, I'm just having a quick look there. Now I'm just using some of their powder just to kind of set things a little bit. I really only needed to use it on that one side with the Beauty Balm because it was shiny. Okay, this is the Naked Flushed in Strip, and this is a 3-in-1 blushing palette. So you have kind of a bronzer on one side, and I'm doing my little fish face, and I'm doing kind of sculpting with it. I'm not really bronzing with it so much as trying to sort of create face definition. And going under the jawline a little bit. Okay, doing the fish face under the jaw, trying to create the look of definition and thinness. Now I'm going to use the Afterglow 8-Hour Powder Blush, and this is Indecent is the name. And it's a very light, very subtle color. It's very pretty. I had ordered it online and it looked a little darker online than it does in the pan and on my face, but it was nice you could build it up. It doesn't look too dark and doesn't look too clown-like. I like the formula of these Afterglow blushes very much. I'm going back to the strip thing, just going to use my finger and do a little highlighter there on the upper part of my cheek, and also a little more. And I'm putting a little color from that blush on one side so I can see the difference in the two. Now I'm going to add it on that side so you can see it. So I have two blushes on. Okay. This is my favorite palette from Urban Decay. It's called Pulp Fiction. It was a limited edition that came out in lieu of the film. And this is the Righteous shade, which I'm using all over my lid. It is a matte, creamy color, like a cream ivory color. And I think it's a beautiful color as a base. I've almost hit pan on this particular shade. This is one of my favorite eyeshadows. But this palette has everything you need to make a perfect, complete eye. Okay, I'm just going to use that color out of that, but I just had to show it off. Now we're going to the Naked palette. This is the original one that came out in 2010. This is the one everybody screams is the best in the world, and they compare everything to this, and oh, it's just like a Naked palette, and oh, I can dupe a Naked palette, and ad nauseum. Okay. And I'm just using a little crease brush there to put a little medium light brown in the crease area, just at the brow bone, the bone area. Orbital bone, is that what they call it? Well, your eyes do sink back further in your head as you get older, so that becomes more prominent and you get more of what they call a hooded eye look. So we do the optical illusion that it's higher up than it is, and it gives your eyes a more healthy look. Now Buck I'm using in the corners. It's a very subtle shade, but it's dark, and you could use this actually easily as a work look without looking too overdone. Buck is a really nice natural matte shade. And you can see I'm just kind of building a shape to my eyes where there was none before. And I'm blending it out. Okay, Mama's going to have some fun now. Alright, this is called Creep. And I'm just kind of dotting on the very corner and down a little bit along the lash line with this. And Hustle, putting right on the edge of the lid, so it'll kind of merge with the corner color and the inner lid color a little better. It makes a nice little transition. Sidecar I'm using just in front of that. So I'll have 4 or 5 shades there on my lid. Okay, done with that one. Moving into, these are the After Dark Travel Pencil Sets in the Voodoo shade, which is kind of a purpley shade. These are those 24/7 pencils, and I just thought I would do a really cool, looks like I'm tight lining there. I'm going on the underside of my lashes. Those of you brave enough to try it, you can do it with these pencils. I was looking over at a squirrel. And I'm going over the top of the lashes as well, just in the outer half of the upper lid. And I'm going down just a third in on the lower lash line. And I'm smearing that out with my fingers, which is not a good idea. Okay, back to the Naked palette. We're going to pull something else out. I'm going to use Naked as a brow powder because I did not purchase a brow product from Urban Decay, forgive me. I have so many eyebrow products, I just didn't want to invest in it because I knew I would take it back. And I already have a bad rep at Sephora and Ulta for taking things back. So, but I like using eyeshadow powder for doing brows. I think that it does a very sufficient job. And if you use a wax pencil or if you use a setting spray after, it stays really nicely. It's a subtle look. I don't have really big brows, but I think this helps fill in all the spaces and everything. I don't want my brows to look unnaturally large. Joan Crawfordish, you know. Okay, here's that setting spray. Taking a breath, holding my breath, 3 or 4 sprays. Now this will settle in, give me a nice dewy finish, and it will hold my makeup on for the rest of the day. Now I'm curling my lashes. I'm doing 8 seconds on each side. You should actually probably do a little bit more than that, but I'm really impatient. Okay, now we are using the Big Fatty mascara. Not so well known in the Urban Decay line. Not sure I'm liking this. Spending a long time on those eyes. Sorry about that. This is almost like in real time. Okay. Now on the other side, I'm going to use the Perversion mascara. This is a fairly new one from them, and they're touting it as their favorite and their best mascara. And I'm just using it on one eye. There's a squirrel that likes to hang out on the porch outside the window, and he's always distracting me because he knows I feed him sunflower seeds. Okay, big honkin' lashes, both sides. There we go. Now we've got the 24/7 Glide On Lip Pencil. The color is called Naked, and it does look a lot like my natural lip, but I really just want it to keep the lipstick from bleeding out into the little lines going into my lips. Now this is the Revolution lipstick in the color Fiend. This is the newest line of lipsticks that they have, and I really like them. I like the formula. It's very, very pretty. And the packaging is really nice as well. Okay, throwing some gloss over the top. This is called Fail Bait. And it's really nice. It's not sticky. It goes on pretty well. And there we go. And a little body spray, and we're done.
So there you have it. Here is the Urban Decay look. And I'm really pleased with this line very much. I think that there's some great products here, some not so great, but I think the real standouts are fairly new to the line, and these blushes are fabulous. I'm going to get a couple more colors. This is the Afterglow blush. I happen to get a light peach. It looked darker online, and it's actually a really nice kind of glowy look. Let me just put a little on there. It's kind of a glowy look. It's not an obvious blush, and it reminds me so much of Hourglass. You know, they have a color that's similar to this in the Hourglass blushes, which are a little bit more expensive. Also, the new Revolution lipsticks. The formula is absolutely wonderful. This one is called Fiend, and it's just, it goes on so well, and it's so pretty on. I mean, it's just, I really like it a lot, and I think I'll actually get more colors than that. And also the lip gloss, beautiful packaging, and you could actually wear this standalone. Let me just see if we can. And it looks a lot like, the reason I got it was because it looks so much like the, well, it's kind of a sloppy swatch, but you get the idea. It's very pigmented for a gloss, so you do get a nice swatch of color, and I thought it paired nicely with the with Fiend. Very similar. So it's a very beautiful gloss. Now these last quite a long while, and really, really nice. My favorite all-around product from Urban Decay was a Fluke. It was on sale at Ulta. I think it was like, I don't know, $7 to $12 for this. It was put out during the course of time when the movie Pulp Fiction was very famous, so they named this after one of the characters in Pulp Fiction. It's got a mirror, and this is a perfect all-over eye. You can use this for your all-over light color, which I did. You can use this as your crease color, you can use this as your corner color, and you can pump it up with the black or the white, either direction. It's just a perfect palette for an all-over eye. If you see this on Amazon or eBay or Etsy or anywhere, pick it up, because it is just marvelous. It was a limited edition that came out, and I hate to show you limited edition stuff because I know they're hard to find. You can't just go in the store and get them. But they are still around, and they're not very expensive, and this is, I like this better than Naked Palette. I mean, I just think it's a perfect basic eye, and I love the kitschiness of it. So the powder foundation actually worked really well. I think it competes very much with IT Cosmetics Celebration powder foundation. It's very creamy, and it covers really well. I'd say it's a medium coverage, and it went over the top of the BB cream, which I was not so happy with. But you can also set under your eyes with this powder foundation, which is kind of an interesting thing. And there's a nice range of colors here. This runs around $35, $36. Really, really nice. Comes with its own little special sponge, and it's a lot like a beauty blender feel to it, so it's going on quite well. But this is a beautiful powder foundation if you're looking for something for summer. I don't like to wear a lot of layers in the summer on my skin, but it looks really well, and it actually fixed this side with the Beauty Balm, which I didn't think the BB cream was that good. As far as the primers go, surprisingly, I picked the Pore Perfecting Primer. I got it by mistake. I went to get the Age age-defying primer, and I always go in the back. My mom always told me when you go shopping, reach for the ones in the back because they're fresher. So I reached for the one in the back because it was fresher, and it wound up being the wrong one. But I tried it anyway, just for the heck of it, because I have orange peel skin in some areas, and I really like this. It worked really well. If you're well moisturized and you put this on, it's not going to cling to dry patches or anything. It actually works really well. And of course the setting spray is legendary. Now I think Urban Decay teamed up with Skindinavia, just like Mary Kay and a few other brands. Skindinavia is kind of, they invented the setting spray. Basically, they came out with it. And I think Urban Decay was one of the brands they started off along with Mary Kay, promoting the idea of setting your makeup. And I remember I was selling Mary Kay about 3 years ago when setting spray was introduced, and I remember the ladies, doing this. The difference in this setting spray and a lot of the cheaper ones, and I do like the hard candy one, but the difference in this is that it's a very light mist. You don't feel like you're squirting yourself with a garden hose, like some of the cheaper sprays will make you feel like you're spraying too much water on your face. This one leaves a very dewy glow to your face, and it holds your makeup all day long. I do love this. This is the all-nighter Urban Decay, and this one is just a travel size. I got this in the impulse aisle at Sephora, when you're going through and they have all the little things there while you're waiting in line to pay and you can't help but look. I saw this and I said, gotta get that. Even though I like my hard candy setting spray and it's cheaper, I think this was $14 or $18, but it was well worth it, and I really like it a lot. Now the 24/7 pencils are legendary. These are small versions, but there were 3 in a pack. It was very inexpensive. I think it was like $18 for the 3. Now they're smaller than what a normal size pencil is, but if you've never tried Urban Decay eyeliner pencils, this is a great way to do it. There's a brown, a black, and a purple. I used the purple in the demo, but I do love the brown very much. And actually, normally with false lashes, when I'm using them, the black actually can fill in really nicely any skin patches that show through between the false lashes and your regular eye. I had bought this before. I think this is Streak. And it's got a bronzer, a highlighter, and a blush. Now the blush is nice, the bronzer's nice. The highlighter I found non-existent. I didn't think it didn't show up at all. I didn't think anything was happening there. So I think that the highlighter kind of disappointed me. It's very subtle. Let me see if I can put it up here and have it do anything. I don't know. I like using my fingers, can you tell? Anyway, all in all, it's a wonderful line, and I totally recommend any of the products in the line. There were some disappointments, and that was in Perversion Mascara. Even though initially when it went on, I thought with very little effort you got this beautiful big honkin' lash that just looked fabulous. 2 hours later at work, I happened to check the mirror. I had all these dings, ding, 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 all the way up, all under my lid from this sweating off the color up onto my lid. And that to me is a total fail with a mascara. If it can't hold on to my lash and stay there without smudging or smearing on my lids or below my lids, it's also a little bit messy. So the Perversion Mascara was not my favorite. Now this was the Big Fatty Lash, and I don't know if this is a new product from them or not, but I did also love the lash that this one gave, and in another way I didn't like it because I couldn't get it off. I was in the shower and I was trying to get it off with, I had face wash and everything else. It would not come off. So it needs a specially strong eye makeup remover to take it off. Otherwise, this is a great mascara. It stayed on, didn't leave dings. It is a little bit messy, but it's just a really nice big honkin' lash. The lip liner was okay, kind of so-so, kind of generic, nothing really special about it. I got this color because it was more like my natural lips and wouldn't show up too much. And I did not get any of the brow products because they just had the brow colors with the wax, and I don't like that. So I figured I'd just use, I like to use either a bronzer or an eyeshadow for eye powder, because I think it gives a nice subtle look to your eyebrows. Now if you don't have any brows at all, I recommend getting like a pencil. So all in all, this brand is fabulous. I totally recommend them. I like the quality of the shadows. There's no fallout. They blend like a dream, and this is, again, this is a classic. This is something that everybody probably should have in their collection. This is Naked Palette. This is just the original one, Naked One, I guess you could call it. It's got a beautiful kind of misty blue color here, which is a beautiful, I mean, look at the pigmentation. And there's no fallout. I mean, you can put this on your eyes and it just, let me just do it. There's just no fallout. And it blends so nicely with the other ones. So I think that in general this palette is great. I would have added a couple of other colors, but we can't all be picky. And a lot of people I know like Naked 3 because it has kind of rosier, more pinky tones to it, and I think it gives you more of a variety. But this one is something that everybody should have in their collection. It does come with a brush, and it's a double-ended brush. The brush ends are different. The smaller one you can use as a eyeliner, using the shadow as an eyeliner. It works really well. I'm just going to use that. I love that blue, that misty blue. So it can really make your eyes pop if you use eyeshadow. Now the lashes I used were Kim Kardashian's. I got them on sale at CVS, and I used one lash. I cut it in half. I put half on this eye and half on this eye. That was a trick I learned from Elle. It gives you a really pretty full lash look without all the drama and awkwardness of trying to put false eyelashes on. If you're a beginner, this is the best way to go because it's so easy to do this way. And I used the glue that came with it just to try it out, and it went on white, it turned blue, and then it turned black. So it does start off very light colored, but it does, when it dries, it goes clear. So you don't have to worry about, you know, having it show. So anyway, that's Urban Decay. I hope you enjoyed the special today. I'll be making another video maybe next week. I'll be moving in officially next week in the new place. I'm taking carloads over one by one, and then I'm having the big hunky guys from Craigslist take the big stuff. I think Saturday they're taking that over. So anyway, everybody have a wonderful week. Have a beautiful day. Toodles.